I just spent way too long on Twitter, so you don't have to. On today's Unnamed Real Estate Podcast. Well, hi there. My name is Charles Ray Dawson. I'm the Associate Broker Residential Sales Manager at ProStar Realty. This is the Unnamed Real Estate Podcast, episode 191. And it is Thursday, October 3rd. For the love of me, I can't figure out why I think October 3rd is like a momentous day or anything like that, but it's like all day. It's like, am I forgetting an anniversary or a birthday, or maybe it was a birthday? Okay, yeah, I think October 3rd is like an ex-girlfriend's birthday or something like that. Yeah, can't remember the wife's birthday, but I can remember ex-girlfriend's birthday. Wow. It's okay, she never watches this podcast. So, anyways, hope you guys are all having a great day. What do we got going on? Oh, boy. You know what? Like I said, last week, we're getting into the election season, and I start going just completely off the rails, you know, looking at polls and this and that and the other thing, and hey, how's things going on here, and what counties vote this way. And right in the middle of the whole show, we had a hurricane, and hit Georgia, went up through North Carolina and Tennessee area. And it was interesting because I'm watching the projected maps, and it's like, okay, it's going to blow right through. Oh, I forgot a picture I was going to download. Hold on for a second. Okay, this is me breaking my computer again. This is an absolute shame, but I really wanted to show this particular picture right here, and I'm not even sure if this GIF is going to work. But check out the before and the after of what happens when you have a hurricane run through your state. All right? These guys got turned into North Korea. Man, I hope that came through. Anyways, yeah, so I'm watching the effects of stuff like that. And then so it hurts, blows through. Georgia pretty much, as we understand, had everything under control. Florida was geared up and ready to rock, and they were so prepared. Apparently, Governor DeSantis, once he had all of his stuff covered, looked around and said, "Hey, I got guys, I got trucks, I got helicopters. What you need them?" And he sent his Floridian resources out to help Georgia and North Carolina. So it's like, good for them, yay. Love it. But as I'm sitting there doom scrolling, I saw this picture, and this is the picture that has inspired what we're going to talk about today. What you're seeing is a picture that was taken in Asheville, North Carolina, a couple days after the flood, right? And this is one of those what I call hysterical monuments. You drive down the road, you see that little monument off the side, hysterical marker, and they'll stop and say, Bob Cranford created the first general store in this county back in 1837 or whatever. But this one, flood of 1960, devastated western North Carolina and western Piedmont, destroyed homes, crops, mills, bridges, 4 lives lost, July 16th, near main gate of Biltmore Estate. All right, so that's just a great picture. Okay, so this is what we're going to talk. We're going to talk about flood insurance. We're going to talk about flooding. We're going to talk about how this affects real estate. Now, for a lot of people, and Twitter's a hellscape, or X is a hellscape filled with trolls who really need to go out, touch grass, smoke grass, get alive, like myself. But people going, well, what are they doing living in a flood area and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It's like, hey, good argument, all right? If you live in a place and you look over and you see a historical marker saying, hey, there was a flood here 108 years ago, you need to understand you're in a flood zone, all right? You might not be in 100-year flood zone, unless they can say that there was another one, and then there was one in 1948, all right? Now, okay. But, they call flood zones different ways, all right? It's like 50-year flood zone, 100-year flood zone, 500-year flood zone. Basically, how they calculate it is that you have a 1% chance of having a flood per year. Sounds pretty good. A lot of people like to roll those dice. Just remember, you're rolling, in D&D terms, 2 10-sided dice. So when it comes up 00, you're going to have a bad day. All right. So the flood zone area FEMA, Federal Emergency Management, Association. What do they call themselves? Agency. Oh yeah, governments have agencies. People have associations, but a government is just a big association. It's like a big homeowners association, except it's like a nation owners association, filled with the same kind of people who are on your HOA board. Think about it. People wonder why I vote Libertarian. Anyway, so FEMA has a website, and you can go and type in your address and see whether or not you're in a flood zone. So what we do, boys and girls, is we open up our browser window, right? And we decide we're going to go and check to see what's going on with this. And once again, I'm looking at everything frozen up. Hold on for a second. This thing is just getting worse and worse for just like freezing on me. And I don't know if you're recording me. I don't know if it's safe to pick my nose when I'm not seeing anything going on. So and then I just sort of, what the hell's going on? Anyway, so back to FEMA. All right. So you go to the FEMA website and you type in your address, and you will pop up and tell you whether or not you're in a flood zone. And when you do something like that, all right, government bureaucracy at its best, you are going to wind up getting this message right here, that the service is currently unavailable. Now, the service might be currently unavailable because, hey, guess what? Everybody and their dog is suddenly deciding to go here. Or it could be that this was built by the lowest bidder, and it was built by the lowest bidder in probably 1982, when all these guys suddenly decided they need to get on the computers. All right. And one of the reasons why I think this is an old government site is because they're still running an IBM Security Access Manager. Okay. And IBM is a zombie company that just hasn't quit moving yet. All right. But unfortunately, that means there's a lot of corporations and government entities out there who are still running what's basically an old IBM mainframe OS on a relatively newer computer, but they can't afford the time and effort and money to upgrade to a brand new system because, you don't have, Windows 12 for governments that you can just go buy and plug in. So anyways, FEMA site's down, or at least this particular portal's down. So what we do, we go to Maricopa, all right? Maricopa's a little bit more on the ball. They have to respond to us because if the county assessor, county recorder do not perform, we elect somebody new, okay? You can't elect a new FEMA manager because they're appointed by the government. And to be honest with you, I pretty much think FEMA is one of those departments that you just throw a guy who's one of your bundlers into. Okay, if you guys might remember during Hurricane Katrina, what was that guy's name? Brownie or something like that? I think that was his nickname. Doing a heck of a job down there, is what Bush said, and turned out that the guy had just literally been a political hack. So we go to Maricopa site, and over in the Maricopa site, we can look at your floodplain and elevation certificate viewer. All right, Maricopa Maps. Maricopa.com. Just start clicking through the things, or just search for Maricopa County floodplain maps, and it'll take you right to this. All right. So this is roughly my neighborhood. All right. And these maps will pop up. All right. And you can sit there and go, well, if I'm living right about here, am I in this blue or this little orange over here? Now, blue is a 100-year flood zone. Right? That's that 1% rolling the dice every year whether or not you get the flood or not. Now, before you start thinking you're in Arizona, it doesn't rain there, you're never going to have a flood. Not so fast. All right. Last year in September, a year ago last month, we had a flood up in Anthem because one of the monsoons came through and really dumped a lot of rain, and a lot of houses and streets and neighborhoods got pretty much soaked. All right, a couple years before that, actually about a decade before that, it was in 2014, I want to say, there was an entire subdivision in Mesa got flooded in a monsoon rain when they suddenly discovered that their flood abatement system wasn't as engineered as good as they thought they were going to be. A couple things you got to watch for is like this particular area right here. If you're looking at the map, you see how this comes in and is sort of squiggly and stuff. I bet you if I was to drive up there, you will find basically a ditch. All right, little green, looks like a little green belt, and it's like a little washway, and it's designed to take water, run it over, and drop it into the sewer system. And those places get overgrown with weeds, debris, unscrupulous lawn care companies, instead of paying the dump fee, will just dump it off in the side. And there's a lot of places up, especially up around the Cave Creek area. Cave Creek Road, which means like Sunny Slope, up in that area, I'd say about 16th Street, 12th Street, up in there. You can drive and you can see these little wash areas that are, just overgrown. They got little homeless encampments and what in there. And when the rains come, well, the homeless people get washed away and they hit that little grate that the water's supposed to be going into the sewer system and getting carried out to sea, and instead it overflows. So what's going to happen when you're buying a house is, well, if you're working with me, I'm not going to search every house against the flood map before we go look at them. But if you sit there and you decide you like this house and we go under contract, part of the things I do on opening day, when I'm opening up my files and communicating with escrow and this and that and the other thing, is I'm going to take a really quick look at the floodplain, all right, and just see if you're even close, right? Because I want you to hear from me, hey, we're going to need to get a quote on flood insurance, or we might need to get a quote on flood insurance. All right. There's also a couple places where it's basically Superfund sites, and I like to make sure that you know about that. Hey, guess what? This is in this zone that they've decided this used to be an arsenic plant or whatever it used to be. There used to be a gas station right here, and whatever it is, but if you decide you want to get a house that is in a 100-year flood zone, you're going to need to get flood insurance. Now, flood insurance sounds really scary, but it is pretty much subsidized through the federal government, and the rates are relatively low. Now, what happens, though, all right, for you guys out there who don't know that, everybody thinks that every company wants to make all the money in the world and they'll sell you anything and this and that and the other thing. Sometimes they just don't think it's worth their hassle. So they're going to quote you a bid so freaking ridiculous they expect you to say no. And if you say no to it, wow, great, okay. We'll take I think the last ridiculous quote I saw was like $6,000 a year. All right, for a $900,000 house on 2.5 acres. All right, $600,000 is ridiculous. That's $500 a month. All right, on a one in 100-year floodplain. All right, so let's say $6,000 a year, times 100. That would be $600,000 in the kitty. So when the place actually does flood, the land's still going to be there. You're just replacing the property and the horses and maybe, that kind of stuff. You see how they start breaking even on that. Or you can actually go to an actual, honest to God, floodplain flood insurance company that will sit there and for much, much less than that. All right. But you might also be thinking to yourself, hey, I don't mind rolling the bones. I mean, I will sit there and go, yeah, okay, 1% a year. God is great. It won't happen to me. Yay, team. Yeah, but your mortgage company is going to have a problem with that. And it will be a requirement of you getting a loan on the property that you get flood insurance. Make sense? I think I wanted to point out on this whole thing is not all floods areas and zones are alike. When you look at this map, right? If you're trying to get this on your phone, I am sorry, but you have this little orange area up here. Okay, blue is the flood zone, 100-year flood zone. Yellow, this orange, is called a floodway. And what a floodway is, and since I had to screenshot this, I can't really zoom in on it. But when you're mucking about and you drive around, you might look over to the one side and you'll see like a soccer field or maybe a park area, and it's like sunken. It's like 10, 15 feet lower down than the road you're traveling on. All right, that's a floodway. That is literally designed to flood in case we get a monsoon, right? All right, which is actually pretty cool because you drive by and next thing there's a little lake right there. I mean, and the lake is only 8 inches deep, so let the kids go play in it. They'll have experiences that they'll tell their friends later on. All right, because, hey, free-range children make healthier adults. Just saying. All right, but you get those little flooded out areas and stuff like that, and so that is a floodway. Some of these floodways, as you look at them, there's literally houses there. Now, a lot of times these floodways were established after the houses were already built, but city planners took a look at it and decided you're going to be the sacrificial lamb, or this area. And a lot of it has to do with the elevation, the slope, right? We can't engineer you not to be the floodway. We need something here. And you're the low man on the totem pole, or the low man on the elevation map. So, and interesting thing about Asheville, North Carolina, that I wanted to mention. Everybody thinks that there's a hurricane. They're sitting there. They're on the beach and stuff. They're at 2,000 foot elevation, right, where they got flooded out. If you're wondering, Phoenix, Arizona is at about 1,080. All right, parts of Phoenix are a lot lower. Parts of Phoenix are higher than that, but our average is about 1,000 feet above sea level. All right, so they're twice as high above sea level than we are. All right, so what does this mean to you? Well, if you are in an area, and especially up there around the mountains and stuff like that, the back of your house has this nice little wash back there, and you're thinking, oh, this is cool. I got a little greenway. I got some privacy and stuff like that. You might want to really make sure that you're higher up than everybody else. All right. Now, that being said, I did once see a court case where somebody had built a wall around their property, and by building that wall, they actually built through the natural flow of the land, and so every time it rained, it flooded the neighbor's house, and it turned into a thing. Can't remember exactly how that case turned out, everything like that, but floods happen. Downtown Phoenix, sometimes misses or their gate time on the irrigation, you could suddenly get a silly flood. There's a house down the street from me. Every time it really seriously monsoons, because of the little speed bumps they decided to put in, his house gets flooded out. All right, so man, just to let you know, read your insurance policies closely, because sometimes an insurance company, if you're not in a flood zone, they will still have the, act of God, floods, that kind of stuff. They might not pay out in case you have damages. So, all right, keep an eye on that stuff pretty good. Other thing I wanted to bring up that I thought was really fascinating is when you spend too much, and this is not really real estate related, so toilet paper run. By the time you're watching this, it's too late. All right, we're doing it again, boys and girls. There was a run on toilet paper right now, apparently, because people thought because of the strike on the East Coast ports, they had it in their mind that, oh my God, all the all the toilet paper comes from China or something. We're not going to get any paper. So sure enough, everybody goes running down to Costco and starts buying the place out. As soon as the word hits, we have a toilet paper run. Guess what? We have a toilet paper run. So like bank runs. As soon as the word hits that, oh, there's a bank run, there's a bank run. Right? It's self-fulfilling prophecy. Another argument that I saw along those lines is that it didn't actually have anything to do with the strike. It had to do with the hurricane. And this is something that popped up on Facebook or on Twitter. Right? These are the locations of manufacturing companies, right, that make toilet paper. And I saw this first. I went, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's all relatively forested. You can have a lot of pulpwood, basically very fast-growing, cheap trees you can throw into a wood chipper and turn into toilet paper relatively quickly. All right, but you can see how Tennessee here would have been impacted. Georgia Pacific, Quilted Northern. Okay, here's one Angel Soft. Like, oh my God. Everybody goes running in there. And then, later on, like 30 minutes later, other people start going, hey, this is actually, I don't know who decided to make this map. I don't even know if this map is accurate. But apparently, these are all the paper mills that make toilet paper plants. All right? You notice that one, Albany, Beach Island, and Savannah River. I could see how, and maybe Resolute Calhoun paper mill, all of those could be impacted. Probably not, but we got, Box Elder Paper Mill up in Box Elder County, Utah, right? We here in Arizona probably do not get toilet paper from Beach Island Paper Mill. But that being said, everybody buys stuff, and next thing you know, it all disappears. So this is just one of those, this is how worked up we are about stuff like this. And is this just like we're all very traumatized from COVID? I can believe it, because we are traumatized about a lot of things as Americans. It's like 08 traumatized a lot of people. So, we're still having people out there going, when's the new crash? Well, tell you what, boys and girls, let's see if we got a crash coming. These are the numbers for October 2nd, 2024. Actives this week are 19,578, up 181 from the previous week, and of those, 2,211 are new listings, up 3. Our contracts were at 2,007, down 78, and closings last week, which includes the last week of the month, is 2,023. Coming soon to an MLS near you is 719 listings. Notice our supplies creeped up a little bit to 78.3. Demand is actually went up a bit too at 74.3. Leaving us at 94.9, still trending down, still trending towards the buyer side of the market. But looking at our relatively interesting neighborhoods, okay, we have some really big growers. Paradise Valley we don't care about because they're rich, but Fountain Hills, Scottsdale, Glendale. Chandler's actually dropping, but they're still in third place. They'll probably be bypassed by Scottsdale at this rate next week. We'll find out. Avondale, Mesa, Phoenix. All technically sellers markets. Our balanced markets are Cave Creek, Tempe, and Peoria. All right, and then we get to our buyers markets. And buyers market surprise, Goodyear, Queen Creek, Buckeye, and Maricopa. This is the other chart I wanted to show you before I wrap everything up. Year over year percent change in listings under contract. This is like when I show you this chart and I say contracts, remember, this is the overall change for that week, not the total amount, all right? This is how we show you the total amount. And if you notice, we're actually up 13% this time over this time last year. We've been well below, okay, and last October was way lower than the year before that, okay? And so as you can see, low, 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 but we all of a sudden we are above for the first time in forever. That's interesting. That is really, really interesting. Why is this? Probably that what you're seeing right there is that change because of the interest rates. That's our first example of that. All right. So what does this mean to us? It's here. It's coming. A lot of real estate agents, a lot of escrow officers are going to be feeling, and a lot of lenders are going to be feeling a lot better for life now that it seems that we are picking up, even because remember the ratios with comfort per number is still talking about the ratios of buyers and sellers. We do see inventory still creeping up, all right, but we have the buyers coming online, so houses are starting to sell. This is a good thing. We're going to go into our little holiday downtrend, and then really seriously January. January is going to be the kicking thing off. So if you do not have to wait, if you can wait till January to sell, remember you're going to have a lot of competition, but if you don't have to wait till January to buy, now might be a good time to still find those deals. All right, so, and I know you guys are thinking with all of this flooding conversation and this and that and the other thing, I'm going to sooner or later tell you what? Don't drive into anything flooded, all right? As I'm collecting the information for this, it's just like nothing but cars and cars and cars and people. I don't know if you guys saw the video, the reporter who, like in the middle of a live broadcast, decided to wait out and save some woman in a car, okay, because she drove into something flooded, all right? But when it happens, people will still do it, all right? Just like watch your children and pets around the water, all right? And as always, work your circles, call somebody up that you haven't talked to in a while, and I want you guys to have a great weekend.